Let's just call it what it is. Creativity is an addiction. Just learn to listen to it. It will learn to listen to you. Together, you work things out, but it has to take time, respect. More importantly, the expectation can't be way up here. Let life happen. Listen to each other, you and creativity. Unplugged because we will always say yes to creativity. Totally Uncut because we all make mistakes. So turn it into a tool. This is Arroe Unplugged. Hey, it's Arroe. This is Defrag. It's a conversation about asking questions and then questioning the answers. I do this Defrag episode while I'm walking through a forest in South Charlotte, North Carolina. I call this walk a transition walk because we're always going through some sort of transition. And we allow those transitions to have permission to keep you from what you're really doing. We ask questions, but are they the right questions? We come up with an answer, but is it a right answer? You don't know until you physically sit down, grab yourself a tablet and a writing instrument, and start asking questions. That's what I call defragging. And when it comes to my personal journal, my defrag journal, it started in November of 2017. And it's become such a major important part of the process of personal growth. Because if I'm struggling with something, I'm going to find an answer somewhere. But here's the weird part about that. Am I going to find the answer today? Will it be unveiled tomorrow? How about a year from now? When you get the opportunity to reflect, not live in your past, reflect, pulling the lens back, and you see how your life has grown, been replenished, things have popped off there, popped off over there, and you start to realize that, wait a second, in order for my right now to even happen, it required building blocks. It required good steps, bad steps, undecided steps. And to get into that moment takes questions. Ask the questions and then question the answers. This is Defrag. While defragging in my journal today, it was brought up, will you do the podcast episode while you go through a transition walk today? And the words that fell from my writing instrument onto that page, this is exactly what I said. Right now, I'm empty. And I sat there and I thought about that. I literally felt that I couldn't go any further. Because right there on that page is a subject that a lot of people deal with. Hourly, daily, yearly. Right now, I'm empty. Or here's the line that a lot of people use. I got nothing. Yeah, I got nothing. Right now, I'm empty. That's our subject today on Defrag. As a daily writer and somebody who keeps the morning pages from Julia Cameron's The Artist Way, I've been doing that since July of 1994. Right now, I am empty is a false statement. I don't have any problem writing, but it's taken practice. It's like when people say, oh man, you sound like a radio disc jockey. Wow. And it's like, no, wait a second. I sound like me. It's just the way that I present my words and thoughts. It's actually the construction of people more brilliant than me, program directors and consultants that sat down with me for years and said, why don't you try it this way? Hey, give this a shot. Boy, dude, that was way out there. So I was never really empty on getting everybody else's opinions, but I allowed what they thought of me to have control over me. So am I the only one here? Are we going to have a conversation? Are we going to defrag on this? Because, hey, if we're going to ask the questions and then question the answers, we've got to be upfront and honest with each other. And we've got to be upfront and honest with the inner core of that self that you are. I can plant a seed all day. But if you don't activate it, then, that's a choice. That's a decision that you made in the way of always saying, I got nothing. Don't ask me, man. I can't participate with this. I got nothing. My father always demanded a lot from his children. He really put the pressure on us. I mean, he was a sergeant in World War II. And let me tell you something. His voice, his command, his inflection, his love for my mother, he had a way of making sure that we got our stuff done. And when you would ask him, though, about how did you become this way? What is your leadership qualities? Where are you going to grow with this? Why did you stop at just being a welder? He looked at me one day and he said, really? Is that what you think of me? I'm just a welder? He says, first of all, I'm your father, and that's an important position. Second of all, just a welder? Do you have any clue what a welder does and how much welding is such a major part of the process and building of formations in this world? I'm just a welder? I almost felt like saying, Dad, I got nothing. Right now, I'm empty. It's crazy teen moments like that that train your vision and your decisions as to what you're going to do when you become just a scorekeeper at a bowling alley. Yeah, I was that guy. Before the digital computer started taking over and machines started counting the pins that were knocked down, I was that guy that sat at that little table behind the ball return. In my heart, I wasn't just the scorekeeper. I was putting together stories. Each time that any bowler stepped through onto that lane and threw that ball, it was going to be a story. Was it going to be a strong enough story for their team to go for a win? Were they going to make the playoffs? What was going to happen? Because in the men's league, it was all about money, baby. It was all about money. And that scorekeeper wasn't just a scorekeeper. That person had to pay attention. And how dare anybody sit next to me and try to have a conversation? Because if I make a mistake, oh, I'm just a scorekeeper. Nah, that's not true. You're a storyteller. When I hear that term, right now, I'm empty, or I got nothing, that's like someone saying, I'm trying. Oh, really? You're trying? Okay, here's a pen. I want you to try to write a word. And they write a word. I said, you're not listening to me. I said, try to write a word, because that's what you said. You said, I'm trying. And then they write another word. I said, you're not listening. I said, try to write another word. And then they finally realized, wait a second, trying means they're going to sit there and struggle and nothing comes out of the nib of that writing instrument. So when I hear, right now, I'm empty, I'm going to call you out, just like I called myself out in my defrag journal. I got nothing. I'm going to call you out because you do have something. You've always got something in your head, but you're allowing other people's decisions to become your path. And you're not leading yourself. You might look good at work. Man, you could have got Employee of the Month. Lord knows I see some pictures up on the wall and I go, really? Really? I never get to see that person. Wow, how'd they get up on the wall? And then what's the difference between me saying, Dad, you're just a welder, to really? You're Employee of the Month? Really? See, I'm doubting it. I want them to tell me why they're Employee of the Month. I want them to show other people how to become Employee of the Month. I want a lot, don't I? Well, I'm not empty on that. I'm not empty on a lot of things. But for some reason on that page today, I said, right now, I'm empty. Another thing that came to me while writing, it was like, oh my God. My writing self was asking, why don't you write while you're taking one of these transition walks through the forest on a 39-degree, rainy, cold day? And this is what I wrote. Impossible. But in between the M and the P, for some stinking reason, my writing hand put a little space in there. It says impossible, but what I saw going back to it was, I'm possible. Oh, this is not a quote from me, trust me. It's not a quote, because I had to look that up. There was no way that the universe was going to give me something that damn strong, and I was going to go, oh my God, that's the word, that's the word. I'm possible. When you say it's impossible, no, I'm possible. Audrey Hepburn, April 2015, was quoted to say, nothing is impossible. I'm possible. Right now, I'm empty. No, you're not. You have a voice. You have a writing hand. You have a thinking machine that is overtaken by so much crap and content that you're allowing it to stall your personal growth. Right now, I'm empty. I got nothing. Oh, yes, you do. It's time to start defragging.